Welcome everyone to episode 16 of Future Strong. It's our sweet 16th birthday, Lindsay. How exciting. My name's Nikki Garchea and I'm the co-founder of Capfinity. And Capfinity is a global assessment and development business which helps organizations and candidates put their strengths to work. And Lindsay and I have had the pleasure of working together on Future Strong and research over the last 12 months, really looking to see how we can support youth at these times. So I'll hand to Lindsay Pollock now, who's going to introduce our esteemed guests, and then we'll get into another great conversation. Over to you, Lindsay.
Nikki, thank you so much. Happy Sweet 16 to our Future Strong. My name is Lindsay Pollock. I'm a career and workplace expert with a specialty in the early career market. I'm the author of 4 books. My latest is in Nikki's background because she's such a good friend, Recalculating, Navigate Your Career Through the Changing World of Work. And we are so excited today to have our very good friend, Gemma Elsen. Gemma is one of those people where I had worked with Gemma many years ago in the United States, and Nikki did one of those, do you know Gemma? And I said, Gemma? And now she's a guest on the show. So that's basically how we recruit people to this show. We're so delighted to have you and so grateful that you have brought your partner, Derek Browne of Entrepreneurs in Action. Derek, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself first. And I'm feeling like super American today. The 3 of you who've already been talking about the Midlands and all these things I've never heard of in the UK. So I'd like you to introduce yourself, and I'd like you to please talk about the photo on your website of you meeting the Queen and what that was like. So share with us Yanks what it's like to actually meet the Queen.
Okay. Oh, you've done it. You've done it. Best pronunciation of the Midlands as well.
Oh, sorry. Midlands.
No, it's good.
Lovely,
it's good.
lovely.
Go on, Derek.
So great. Thank you for that. My name is Derek Browne. I'm the CEO of Entrepreneurs in Action. Entrepreneurs in Action is a Gen Z insights business. We work with companies to connect with education to solve early careers and insight challenges. We're 18 years old and we've worked across the UK, Spain, Switzerland, Caribbean, Africa, and last week we launched in China. So all exciting stuff. Now what a question, Lindsay. Now you really threw me there. And so my mum's very proud of that photo, just to sort of put that out there. So I was awarded the Queen's Award for Enterprise Promotion in the second year that it was run. Only 70 people in the world have this award, and only 10 people per year have been selected. And it's the story is pretty much, I won't tell the full story because I haven't got the time, but essentially I got the letter from the Prime Minister then, and I accepted the award. And then you get this invitation that comes through the post from Buckingham Palace saying, we'd like to invite you to the palace. So my parents come from the Caribbean. My dad, who's no longer with us, but he was living in Barbados, so my mum's in Guyana. And I got the invitation sent to him in Barbados. So it's an even bigger bit of news when the postman walks up. And, rather than, he couldn't even deliver that through the post box. He had to knock the door and say, Browne, we got something from Buckingham Palace for you. And, my dad's just like, oh, yeah, taking it all in his stride. Anyway, so he came over and we got to go to Buckingham Palace. It was an amazing experience. There were each of the recipients could invite 2 people. And so it was quite an intimate affair with the Queen, Prince Philip, and a few others. And so we got to spend about an hour with them. And I don't know, I might have made an impression on Her Majesty because I was then invited to be the Queen's Award for Enterprise Ambassador. And I was the ambassador for 2 to 3 years. And so I did the closing speech to maybe 3,000-4,000 people. I was on all of the marketing literature, the video, and then I even made the monarchy website, which was, my mum was just ecstatic about that. That's my boy on the site sort of thing. So yes, it was a great experience and it was lovely representing the office and being able to talk about the great stuff that we do, helping young people, changing minds and inspiring lives. So, yeah.
Derek, that story delivered. I have so many follow-ups, which I will not ask, but bravo, that is incredibly impressive, and I'm sure you made an impression. Everyone go to the website and look at the beautiful photo of Derek beaming at the Queen. They really made a connection in that moment, you could tell. So Gemma, not to steal your thunder, if you've met the Queen, I would love to hear the story of any of your time at Buckingham Palace, but we love you. You are a queen to us. Please introduce yourself as well.
Sure. Yes. No, sadly, I haven't met the Queen. My name is Gemma Elsen, and I am the Global Head of Early Careers at Fidelity International. I guess, yeah, as you already said, Lindsay, we met when I was working at Barclays in New York. And Nikki, we met when I was more recently at HSBC, but been working with Capfinity for some time. So, yeah, I'm absolutely delighted to be here. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Gemma. And don't worry, you're in safe company. I haven't met the Queen either, but I'm massively impressed by Derek's story. And Gemma, one of the things we wanted to just get you to share initially was your commitment at Fidelity to DE&I, and also your personal commitment. I've known you working in a couple of roles now, and it seems like this is very much not just about the organisation. This is very much something that seems very personal to you. But would you share what Fidelity is doing, what you're hoping to achieve, and then we'll hear about the great work you've been doing with Derek?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think DE&I has been really important to me, throughout my career, and I've been working in early careers now for 14 years. I feel like everything that we have done has always been through a DE&I lens. And actually, it was only yesterday I was speaking to a member of my team and saying, part of the reason why I do this is because I want to help people. I want to help students to get jobs. I want to help them, get that first starting point in their career and watch them fly and help them progress and develop. And that's what I absolutely love about the job that I do. And it's been important in other organizations where I've worked, but absolutely it's important to us at Fidelity International as well. And yeah, as you said, Nikki, from a personal standpoint, I feel really passionately about social mobility. I really want for us to be able to help people that are, less fortunate and people that really need some help in order to get onto the kind of career ladder. And so, that's what we've been doing and working with Derek earlier on this year. We were able to run a fantastic program that was able to achieve some of those DE&I goals for us, which I know we'll go on to talk about.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the program that you're working on together. And I'd really love to hear, the genesis of it, how it started. A lot of our viewers are practitioners like you and would love to hear kind of the nuts and bolts of how you got buy-in for this, how you formulated the program, some takeaways for people who are thinking of doing something similar would be really helpful. So Gemma, I'll leave it to you to start and then pass it to Derek when you'd like. Yeah,
absolutely. So we, as if there are practitioners obviously on the call, we hire. Our hiring for early careers is cyclical, but the business actually came to me in late December and said that they had a BCP requirement, so business continuity planning requirement, because 2 of our offices in India are on the same earthquake fault line. So we needed to hire 12 apprentices into our office in Surrey. So it's in Kingswood in Surrey. And that was an immediate ask. And of course, it fell out of cycle. And I'd been, thankfully, introduced to the lovely Derek previously. And so we had a chat to see what potentially we could do at this time. And when Derek and I got chatting, we obviously started speaking about the pandemic and the impact that that's had on youth at the moment in the UK, but across the world, naturally. And given that this was out of cycle, and we knew there were so many, young people out there looking for jobs. In fact, I think the number is 575,000 youths between the age of 16 and 24 at the moment in the UK that are looking for work. We thought, okay, well, there's a giant talent pool there that we could be tapping into. Students have been massively disrupted in 2020 and continue to be this year in 2021 by the pandemic. So people's exams have been pushed out or they haven't been able to take their exams. So when we were discussing what we could do, we were thinking, I guess, more creatively around, the responsibility that we have as student employers in these times to move away from the focus on academic achievement and capabilities, and thinking about, you know, strengths. Nikki, obviously, that, you know, that's your business, and making sure that we're recruiting for potential as opposed to kind of looking backwards. What have they achieved already? And so, yeah, that conversation continued, and we then designed, well, actually, you know, Derek, do you know what? Why don't I just hand over to you at this point so you can talk about the classroom to boardroom model?
Oh, thank you, Gemma. And Gemma's got this brilliant knack of just capturing everything and leaving me just a little bit to say. So I really appreciate Gemma just consistently delivering. But no, I mean, so first and foremost, Gemma's been a brilliant partner to work with in terms of just thinking really deeply around some of the challenges that young people were facing, and how we could run a program that, one, respected young people, the space they're in. And if you think about it, not only is it them being unemployed, the pandemic also meant that their whole social life had been disrupted. And for many young people who were living on their own, and then in lockdown, your friends slip cycles and communication. So that sensitivity around health and well-being and valuing people's mental health was really important. And moving away from a yes or no type recruitment process where you either don't get the job or not is something that Gemma and I talked about and said that we wanted to move forward from that and give this as an opportunity, almost like a personal development. Everybody left the program positively. That was our ambition, a totally win-win for whether you got the job or not. You should be more employable and more confident and have skills that you could take away. So that was our ambition. And the other side of it is that Gemma's, really lovely to talk to and work with, but she has some very tough deadlines. So we had 4 weeks to plan this, and 1 week was Christmas, and the starting week was lockdown 3.0. So there's no pressure at all with Gemma. There's no pressure, but we want this number of recruits. I think we were recruiting 12 young people as apprentices. We had to run the campaign in the build-up to Christmas recruit. So we had about, I think, 67 people through who we put through the first phase of the program. The program was in 2 phases. The first phase is a concept we've developed called confidence-based assessment, and it's really about this holistic approach that says, how do you create this, as I've said earlier, this win-win environment for the candidate, that they feel that they are benefiting from it. And also, some people at the beginning of the session may not be hugely articulate and confident, but if we really develop their skills and confidence, then there's huge benefit to that. So my team came in, we did this all on Zoom, really bonded the group. And I think that was something that was really magical, was the energy that was coming out, oozing out of the screens throughout the day. And then we invited the Fidelity team to come in the afternoon. And then we sort of built this partnership relationship between my team and the Fidelity team. And so, and how that worked is that we split the young people up into groups. And part of the assessment process was having Fidelity staff watching and being part of the young people getting ready. And we then faced this difficult job of going from 67 to 27. And I don't know if you can imagine a sort of a smoky 20s scene where everybody's around the table negotiating, and people were like, I've got 5 to put through to the next stage, and someone said, I've got 7, and they're all brilliant, and someone said, well, I've got an extra person. And we had this really fabulous coming together of 2 businesses who were just passionate about the young people. But also what was really good, I think, about it is it gave the managers and some directors from Fidelity a real chance to see talent that they don't normally see at the interview and assessment stage. And then you've got your favourites, and like, oh, that Lindsay, I think she's got a little spark in her eye. Let's see if we can put her through to the next stage. So, and this is why Gemma takes so much of it, just leaves me just enough, because if you leave me anymore, I'll talk for ages. So the next stage was that we selected 27 from, it was supposed to be 25, but it was such a heated debate that we went through to 27. And then we put them through a program called Classroom to Boardroom. And this is our program where we take a real business challenge, and we have a process of a mixture of performance coaching, NLP, and some accelerated learning, where they can really get a sense and understanding of the business through the program. And then they present their solutions to the business challenge at the end of that 3-day period. Benefits of that really is that if it sounds really boring, you don't have to stay. It's like, that's really boring, Gemma, this challenge, I don't really want to work for Fidelity. We didn't get any of that. But it allows the team to bond. They presented to the executives. I think we had about 17, 18 people on the call from Fidelity. And I think it's really exciting when young people are excited about your business. And that was really energizing, really came across positively. And then we had to make the selection. And I'm going to let Gemma come in a minute, but I'll just tear up because I don't want to hog the whole show. But I think what was really good for me was that after the students, after the applicants had presented, and we did this bit of a debrief with them, and then the cameras came back onto the team who were making the selection. And so there's some of my team on there, there's the Fidelity team, and then it's just really serious stuff. And people are saying, oh, you know, that Nikki, I really think she could be a fit for this team. And then someone says, no, I think Nikki could be in this team. And then Gemma and I are just sitting there and watching it. And just remember that the big part of this program is that nobody sees the CVs. It's not like, we're not worried about names. We're not worried about where you've gone to school. You don't see anything. Only Gemma and I had seen the CVs, and we weren't involved in the selection process. We were just raising our eyebrows lots. It was great. We're just communicating through eyebrow raising, and I've got a lot of eyebrows. So Gemma could see my views very clearly. So what was really good about that is that we didn't have any CVs. The management team and the directors didn't see CVs, and then they got to see these young people in action and go back to hiring people based on a hunch. And you know, there are lots of people who got, you know, I started in the city many years ago. My job was given to me because people had a hunch that I could add some value to the business. And so that's where we got to. I'll hand back to my partner in crime, Gemma Elsen, and to continue the story. But I'll pause.
Well, the story went well because there's a little bit of feedback. We had a directive to hire 12 apprentices, but ended up hiring 17 because there were just so many great people that came through. But yeah, as Derek said, it was completely CV-less. And what was really wonderful and somewhat progressive is that the business didn't even ask for the CVs. You know, they were really involved and very much participating in the program itself, and so they were getting to know the young talent, or the applicants as you call them, you know, coming through. They were watching how they were interacting with each other. They were able to see their, you know, presentation skills. And remember, all of this was after we had built them up. So that confidence building day wasn't just one day, you know, it continued all the way through. The coaches that Derek has as part of EIA are brilliant at really bringing out the very best in those applicants. And so, and bringing them together as well, you know, that they had a real sense of cohort, and given that they were working together, they were also able to build each other up, you know, I'll take this part of the presentation, I'll take this part, and supporting each other during the presentation too. And of course, just watching that, you are looking for particular strengths, attributes, right? And that's exactly what Derek's just mentioned, and it was really great to see. And now we are looking to move away from the use of CVs in our recruitment process moving forward, which is just fantastic. It's really great.
It's we both went off mute, Lindsay, instantly. We're going to fight to ask the next question. I would love to hear some of the feedback that you got from the applicants, those that were successful, those that weren't successful. Be great just to hear some of the extracts of what the applicants told you.
Gemma, do you want to go first?
I was going to say, I'm going to dive in really quickly and just say that the feedback from them has been amazing. So I have a kind of afternoon tea chat with them every few weeks. And the last one we had, they came together, and before I joined, they were all, chatting amongst themselves. And never before have I seen such a sense of community and cohort in any early careers program that I've been working. We hired the class of 2020, the class of 2019. These guys are different. They are really, really tight, and it's really wonderful to see. And they've got their own sort of WhatsApp group and everything, and they are so supportive of each other, and I could see that coming through in that chat. And they were just really grateful, really, really grateful to have the opportunity. Yeah, I mean, I can't kind of pull out any kind of quotes right now. Derek, maybe you have some. We got sent quite a few lovely emails afterwards, didn't we? Some really lovely
we did. And I think consistent across all of the candidates it was a life-changing program. It was something they never dreamt of. And it came at the right time. If you imagine the third lockdown, you're sat in your house, you haven't been able to speak to anybody, and you've just formed this brilliant union with the 15 young people. There was it's really life-changing and inspiring, and that's been a consistent message across the feedback. And the other thing I think is quite interesting, by not having the CBLS approach, one of the star performers, because you don't know what their backgrounds are, he was a builder's assistant, right? So, normally a builder's assistant, Fidelity, building investments blocks maybe, but no, you wouldn't really get an interview. Star performer, another star performer, a baker, right? Somebody else was working in a burger store. It was just, but they came together totally passionate about the job, and the unity, the camaraderie, when they, I can't wait for them to walk into Fidelity as a team. That's the uniqueness of the program, because they just really bonded.
And we've given them, it's our responsibility again as an employer to make sure that we can give them all of the support that they need as they join the organisation, and make sure that they have all of the kind of technical training, as well as the behavioural skills training that they need to be successful. So we've made sure that we designed and set that up as well. But we
That's
also
so inspiring.
One thing we forgot to mention is that we were working in the local Surrey area, because that's exactly where we were hiring to. And so we were working with Job Centre Plus, which I'm not sure you have an equivalent in the US, but for people that are on benefits, we call it universal credit here. And so we were tapping into Job Centre Plus. Derek also was knocking on the door of some of the colleges and schools in the local kind of Croydon area as well. So yeah, we managed to get some good publicity out, which was great, and some really great applicants. And it was so Gemma, no one was rejected from that first day. So yeah, we just included absolutely everybody who applied.
Yeah, and you know what was really interesting about that, because Gemma and I discussed having a pass mark for that initial online assessment, and then I think it was like one of our 8-9 o'clock exchanges at night, and we just said, "Oh no, let's just bring everybody in. Who knows, right? Give everybody a positive experience."
Yeah.
And I think we've got at least one of those applicants were below the watermark. That you would have thought you might not have seen them, but has been a really strong performer. And so the whole, I just think this whole assessment process, how do we rethink it? How do we kind of have our control or delete moment for how we hire, recruit, and engage the talent of the future?
The inclusivity is just extraordinary and so inspiring. As we come towards the end of our time, I'd love to get some practical tips. Gemma, I'll start with you. If an employer is watching this and says, I want to do something like that, how did you find Derek's organization? How did you start to get by-in? It sounds blissful that executives would say, yeah, no CVs, no problem. But I'm sure there was a lot more to that story than you've talked about. So can you give a couple of practical tips for people who want to pursue a program like this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was introduced to Derek through a colleague, actually, who had been working with him on a classroom to boardroom program that was, I think, with a number of different investment firms, wasn't it, Derek?
Yeah.
It's not always an easy conversation to have with stakeholders around not looking at CVs, but I think perhaps it was partly timing, the fact that there was this urgent requirement, the fact that we were in a kind of pandemic and we were looking to engage with talent that were available at that time. It's not an easy conversation, but it was one that needed to be had, and they were very receptive to it. So I would say, in terms of tips for any student employers out there looking to adopt a similar model, I would say have the conversation, and I think we've got all of the kind of proof to back it up in terms of what's happening at the moment, and the fact that exams have been disrupted, and we don't want to be disadvantaging students at this point.
Derek, what would you add advice to employers?
You don't have to. So firstly, Gemma's an excellent partner, and any excellent partners like Gemma, we're always keen to talk to. We've never made it about diversity, but we delivered one of the best diversity projects that a firm could even engage with, and Gemma knows all the stats. For me, I think from the practitioner perspective, there are ups and downs, and it's just being supportive and having a partnership approach with your partner. You'll get there and get the results. So Gemma's been, a brilliant client to work with and for, and we've achieved a huge amount. And I don't think we've got time to talk about the amazing diversity stats that Gemma has there, but it's been amazing what we've done without calling it a diversity program.
Absolutely. And Derek, equally, you're a wonderful partner to work with, and I would recommend you to anybody that's thinking of running a program like this, definitely.
We will flash up your website again, Derek. I want to thank you both for being so honest and sharing this brilliant program. Before I hand to Lindsay to kind of summarise the key takeaways for the listeners, it really speaks to me that there is new ways of assessing talent with approaches where actually you bring people in and it's more developmental. I think we can see in the disability space, we heard on another session, Maximus doing a very similar approach for disabled candidates. I saw Microsoft using neurodiversity projects where they were also bringing candidates in virtually or face-to-face. And I think these are really great new approaches to be supporting diverse talent pipelines into work. And I think what you've done, particularly with the apprentices, Derek, is astounding. I keep thinking how proud their parents must be as well, that their kids are in these jobs and they've got these fantastic opportunities. So brilliant work. Thank you for sharing and giving your time. Lindsay, 3 takeaways, if you can summarize to 3.
Yeah, Gemma with Fidelity and Derek Entrepreneurs in Action, thank you so much for sharing such specific advice and stories of this program. I think there are 3 elements to this apprenticeship program that stood out to me. The first is the concept of recruiting for potential, not looking at CVs, and really knowing that talent can come from anywhere. And when you take a strengths-based approach, you might be surprised at what you see. So number 1, recruiting for potential. Number 2, making sure that this was a win-win for all of the students involved. You were so inclusive in who you invited into the program. You took more than you expected. You didn't have a cutoff for anything at the beginning, and made sure that even the students who did not land the apprenticeship still left with an extraordinary amount of skills and connections and confidence. And third, to me, is the camaraderie of the group that you created. We are in such a time of disconnection. I'm very concerned about the well-being of members of Gen Z, Gen Z, and to create a community during a lockdown and a time of high youth unemployment is just extraordinary, and I think will serve these young people for a really long time. So thank you for sharing such a detailed story with us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you very much. Really enjoyed the time.
So as we come to a close, and thank everyone for joining us on our sweet 16 birthday, we look ahead to 17, and we have Jada Green from Accenture, who is the candidate experience lead there. Jada has joined Lindsay and I on a couple of keynotes about the great work that Accenture have delivered across North America, particularly during the pandemic. And she is going to share their story with us with some really key learnings for everybody in emerging talent. So we look forward to welcoming Jada in 2 weeks' time. So without further ado, we will let those of us in the UK get closer to our weekend. And I bid everyone in other parts of the world listening in a good weekend. And I'll look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time. Gemma and Derek, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.